Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a very brief look at the game WayWord. This game is for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up, and the average play time is between 30 and 60 minutes. In this game, players will be moving their pawns from letter tile to letter tile in an attempt to form words and earn points. Let's just take a brief moment to look at the components and see how the game is played. The game itself comes with a total of 71 different tiles, 4 player pawns, and 1 die. Although the die isn't used for movement or anything like that, it is simply there to help determine the starting player via a die roll. Now, as far as these tiles are concerned, you've got 2 different types. You've got these letter tiles, and you've got these special tiles. The letter tiles are broken up into 3 different, categories. You've got green, yellow, and red. The green ones are your very common letters. Those are worth 1 point. The yellow letters here are a little less common. Those are worth 2 points. And the most difficult letters here are in red. Those are worth 3 points. Now these blue ones down here are your special tiles. Basically, players will be able to land or move through them in order to gain some sort of benefit. Game setup is pretty simple. All you'll do is you'll put all the tiles face down, mix them up. Then you'll go ahead and put 1 in the center. And then you'll draw 6 to surround it. Assuming I can get them to fit correctly. There we go. Alright, now it's important to note that your starting tiles have to be all green or yellow. If you end up with a red one or a blue special tile, you end up just putting it back into the draw stack and drawing another one to replace it. You'll also need a total of 2 vowels. If you don't have 2 vowels, you'll have to keep drawing from the draw stack until you get a vowel, then you can switch out one of the letters on the board. Finally, once you have done that, the player pawns start in the middle, and a die is used to determine the starting player. Highest roll goes first. Once you've gotten to this point, you'll need to put some of these tiles back into the box. If you're playing a 2-player game, you'll put all of these tiles back into the box with the exception of 20. If you're playing a 3 or 4-player game, you'll put all of these tiles back into the box with the exception of 24. Now before I move on, I just want to quickly mention that you can make the game easier or more kid-friendly. Before you start the game, you can actually go back into the box and draw 3 more tiles just to add to the original 7. You'll just put them around the outside like so. Now it's important to remember that they can't be red or blue, and you'll have to have at least 2 vowels as your starting setup. Now you can also make the game easier by stacking the deck or the draw pile, so to speak. All you'll do is you can go through the draw pile ahead of time, pick out, say, some of the red ones, put it back into the box, and you can possibly replace it with, say, some easier letters or possibly some special tiles. Before the very first turn is taken, each player will draw 1 tile from the available draw pile. And normally they would keep these hidden, but I'm just going to show them to you just for the sake of the video. Now let's just assume that the top one is blue and the bottom one is red. On a player's turn, they'll do 3 things. They'll place the tile in their possession somewhere on the board, so as long as it connects to another tile. They'll go ahead and move their pawn around these tiles in an attempt to form a word. And finally, they'll draw a tile from the available stack in order to use it for their next turn. Okay, well let's assume for the moment that it is blue's turn, and blue will start off by placing this tile here. Again, you can put this tile anywhere just so as long as it connects to the rest of the chain, and you don't necessarily have to make use of it on your current turn. Now blue is going to go ahead and try and form the word lend, and that can be done in one of 2 ways. It's important to note that a word starts off on the letter that you're moving to, not the letter that you're currently sitting on. So blue will move L, E, N, D, and that could, in theory, earn blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. However, blue is going to play it smart by moving through the special tile up here that he just placed. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. Now at this point, Blue would go ahead, write the word lend on a piece of paper. By the way, the components do not include a way to keep score, so you'll need a pencil and paper handy just so you can keep track of players' scores. Words cannot be used more than once in a single game, so it would behoove you to write the word and then the number of points it scored right beside it. Finally, at the end of that, player Blue here will go ahead and draw a tile from the stack and just place it in front of his person. Red's turn is pretty much going to be played out the same way. He'll place a tile down among this existing web and then move his pawn around the board to try and earn some points. Now there are a few movement rules to consider, and I'll just briefly touch on a few examples. Just to name one, you can double tap a letter to use it twice. In this case, Red could make the word boss by going down to the B, then the O, and then double tapping S to form the word boss. That would be legal. You can also move through the same letter twice. If Red wanted to form the word tent, he could go down to the T, back up to the E, and then N, then T, using the letter T twice. Finally, you can't move through another tile occupied by another player pawn. So let's say that Red wanted to make the word tend. That would not be possible. T, E, N, D. Blue is already there, so that would not be okay. Now, if a player happens to get a word wrong or spells it wrong, and the other players call him on it, then the pawn is moved back to the original space, and that player would earn no points. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns, placing tiles, moving their pawns around the board and attempt to earn some points until the draw pile runs out, in which case the game ends and the person with the most points wins. And there you have it. That's just a very brief look at the game WayWord. I didn't get to cover all of the rules found in the manual, but this should give you a general idea as far as how the game is played. You can check out my review at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com, or you can simply click on the link in the below description that'll take you there as well. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.